The Final Fantasy VII Remake fan art continues. But before I get into anything, I want to kind of clarify after some of the feedback I got for the Aerith video. Yes, I did really well in Japanese class. I got A's in Japanese. And I did fail English that 1 year, but I did also pass English from that point forward. I guess I wasn't super clear about that. And as for the IQ tests, the smarter you are, the dumber you feel. If you do not find that statement to be true, then I assure you there's bliss in ignorance, and just go on with your life. Now, the picture of Cloud I'm working on, I went through 5 or 6 different concepts and colored a few of them before I got to where I wanted to in the vector art. Unfortunately, I lost most of the footage for that because I feel dumb. I think I made that hopefully clear earlier. I was changing some things around in my studio, preparing to work from home, and I either lost it or I never recorded it, which is likely actually the later that happened. Thanks to the coronavirus, I lost some footage. If I were to blame it on something else, when in reality it's my doing, it's my fault. But the coronavirus definitely helped interfere. The coronavirus has kind of changed everything that's going on. So much misinformation out there. If you're not a doctor, if you're not a health professional, maybe you shouldn't be giving people advice or spreading people who are not certified advice that they give to you. Remember, the internet, you can say whatever you want. It doesn't have to be true. Send people to the correct sources. Send them to government websites, to the CDC's website. Not InfoWars, you know what I mean. And don't panic. This too will pass. There's enough panic happening right now. They have it covered. The key thing we need to do is keep the elderly and the people that are sick away from us as best we can. Those that are healthy can still spread it. Wash your hands. Generally be clean. At this point, we should all, as a general rule, maybe be a little cleaner than we normally would be. And if you're a neat freak, I'm sorry. Just keep neat freaking out. Remember, this too will pass. Might pass like a softball-sized kidney stone, but it will pass. Now on to the picture for today. The fan art I'm working on is Cloud Strife from Final Fantasy VII. This is specifically from Final Fantasy VII Remake, looking at his outfit. I wanted to nail an expression on his face that I got out of the demo. But let's talk more about Cloud specifically, because at first glance, with knowing very little about him, you might ask yourself, what is up with Cloud? He's a subconscious wasteland with spiky yellow hair, and they've given him a humongous sword. So let's get into this, folks. Welcome, welcome! Hi, folks, I'm Joe from joeThinks Art, and before I say too much more, spoiler alert! I'm going to be talking about some things if you have not played the game from the 1990s, Final Fantasy VII. I'm going to talk about some stuff that happens in that game that is not even going to be in the remake. And I'm going to be talking about some things that are in the remake. Kind of setting some stuff up for the next video, which will be about Sephiroth and Genova. So, you can't really have a video detailing things about Cloud without talking about his history, his past, where he comes from. So Cloud was not born in a big city. He was born in a little village that sprung up around a Mako reactor in a place called Mount Nibble. And Nibelheim is the name of the village that he's from. His neighbor was Tifa, and they grew up together, even though Cloud distanced himself from everyone and wasn't really close with anyone growing up. Now, Tifa chose to stay close with Cloud. However, an event when they were younger, where Tifa had gone up into the mountain and Cloud had gone up after her and was unsuccessful at saving her, and the two of them got hurt, forced a whole bunch of distancing between her family and his family. And it actually develops into an anger problem for Cloud at a young age. And this, of course, fed his seclusion from others. He was, generally speaking, a much more mature child than the other kids and never really connected with them. Part of that is because of the lack of a father. You see, Cloud's dad died when he was young, and his mother never remarried. She spent her time focused on Cloud. Now, time would pass, and Cloud would become a teenager and a man, and be able to make choices for himself. Now, he idolized Sephiroth, an elite soldier. Now, soldier is actually an elite form of Shinra Protective Services Guard. And Shinra is the corporation that is the power corporation and pretty much controls the entire world, economically at least. He believed himself ready to do this at 14, and one night told his neighbor and only friend, Tifa, his plans, and she said that he really shouldn't go. And he promised that when she needed him the most, he would be there. And he would be a soldier, and he would bring a bunch of people with him. Well, maybe not, but he gave her a promise that he would be there. Unfortunately, to Cloud's shame, he didn't make the elite soldier cut when he got to Midgard and joined the Shinra military. He didn't really make the cut for much of anything, as it turns out, because he became an infantryman, whose face is actually covered by their outfit. Shame kept him there. It is, after all, a paying job, and he never needed anyone anyway. But Cloud's luck wasn't all bad. He did get paired up with Zack Fair, who was a member of Soldier, First Class, which is the highest order of them, and the two of them became good friends while working on missions together for the Shinra Electric Company. They both connect on being from backwater, way far away from civilized life in Midgard, but the events of Core Crisis Final Fantasy VII happen, and the rebellion of the elite soldiers happens to Shinra, where Zack's ally Genesis Rhapsody, who is also one of the elite top soldiers like Sephiroth and Zack, rebel against Shinra Electric Corporation, in the process killing Zack's mentor. And that's actually when Zack inherits the Buster Sword that he gives to Cloud later, and that iconically Cloud uses in many other games he's made cameos in, and his own game, and Advent Children, even though that's a fusion sword, which is actually 6 different swords all compacted into one to look like the Buster Sword. Cloud, of course, is involved in the Soldier Rebellion, however, does not succeed and is defeated, which is another staggering blow to his ego. After their defeat, and Zack's promotion to First Class after his mentor's passing, the two of them are actually assigned to Junin, another great big giant mega city controlled by the Shinra Electric Corporation. However, it's Cloud and Zack stationed there form an even deeper bond, and the two of them actually get to visit Cloud's hometown of Nibelheim. And when they're there, they find Tifa, and Tifa acts as a guide to take them up to the Shinra reactor that's there, the whole reason the town had formed in the first place. And Cloud is with Sephiroth and Zack. The Sephiroth didn't defect, he was still on Shinra's side in the Core Crisis. They were there under the pretext that they're just checking the Mako reactor, because it takes 2 members of Soldier to check a Mako reactor. What follows next is called the Nibelheim Incident, and it's where Sephiroth finds out that an alien intelligence named Genova has been housed there, and the Shinra Electric Corporation has been injecting Genova's cells into various creatures and humans, creating all kinds of different monsters, experimenting with a super soldier. The same scientist creates Shinra's elite soldiers by infusing them with Mako. That's why they get glowing eyes, as they're called Mako eyes. It's a signature of Soldier. Now, the same scientist has been doing this same process only using these extraterrestrial Genova cells to create monsters. Sephiroth finds out he's involved in this entire process and that the scientist is his father. He then flips out and burns Nibelheim to the ground and kills nearly everyone that is there. Thus, the moment Cloud begins losing his mind. He just lost his hometown. He just lost his mother. At first he thought he lost Tifa as well. Later it's revealed that Zack and Tifa survive. As Cloud runs up to the mountain reactor, he finds that Zack and Sephiroth have had an epic battle, and it appears that Sephiroth has won. Cloud makes good on his promise to Tifa, who is there at the reactor, and moves her to a safe place so that she can recuperate before confronting Sephiroth. Now, in the Last Order OVA, it appears that Sephiroth just jumps down into the Mako and dies. However, in the original game, Cloud confronts him and Sephiroth stabs Cloud. Filled with anger and rage for everything that has just happened, Cloud picks Sephiroth up with his giant sword still impaled in Cloud and flings him off of the catwalk down into the Mako pits below in the reactor, which of course kills him, or at least mostly kills him, not all of him. But Cloud did defeat Sephiroth and save the day. And there were survivors from the Nibelheim incident. Unfortunately, all of the survivors, with the exception of Tifa, Zack and Cloud and many of the other folks, then became new test experiments for the scientists from the Shinra Electric Company. Cloud was trapped there, being experimented on for years, before Zack broke free and also broke Cloud free. Cloud, while being experimented on for 4 years, acquired Mako poisoning. He was Mako infused repeatedly and did not die. He was infused with Genova cells and did not die or transform into a monster. He was even later injected with Sephiroth's Genova cells and did not transform into Sephiroth. This is the reason he's referred to repeatedly by the Shinra scientists as a failed experiment. He did not respond to any of these things and lived. Unfortunately, by the time Zack escapes and helps free Cloud, Cloud is catatonic. He cannot respond or even move on his own. Zack freed Cloud while having to literally carry him around. This is actually a really good example of the type of character that Zack is, or was. Funny and out to be a hero, not to surpass anyone else. Zack genuinely cared about people and wanted to be a defender. Unfortunately, after a year or so of running with Cloud, the two of them make it back to Midgar, and the Shinra Corporation find them and gun Zack down, and he dies. And Cloud inherits the Buster Sword. And the events that lead up to Final Fantasy VII begin. Cloud believes he is Zack. He puts his personality back together after all of this. He lost his mom, he lost effectively his life. Definitely being Mako infused over and over again changes your connection to the planet. It may have been that Cloud really truly did hear the world crying in pain, as Barrett says. So sure, Cloud, especially at the beginning of the original game, which will be the entirety of the remake, is a big nut job. But at least now you have a better understanding of where this character is coming from. Cloud rebuilds his personality to emulate what he saw and heard, because Zack told him stories of his exploits while they were on the run. He takes on the persona of Zack, calls himself a soldier first class, but then he comes across Tifa, who is a member of his true past, and it starts conflicting. And she takes him in, and then convinces Barrett that Cloud is a mercenary for hire, and would be good for Avalanche missions, which is the anti-Shinra Electric Company group that they belong to. So I'm going to end this one here. And if you like this art, or if you like this approach to kind of filling you in on backstories, definitely let me know. There's much more to tell about Cloud and any of the other characters in Final Fantasy VII, to be fair. So hit that like button and leave me a comment, and I'll make more content just like this. Or hit the dislike button. Maybe leave a comment as well and tell me how you don't like this, and I'll focus on other things. If you haven't yet, definitely subscribe, and if you hit the notification bell, it'll notify you when I release videos. Unfortunately, because of the coronavirus thing, this video was released late too, and that might be a thing. It might be later Sunday, maybe even Monday mornings in some situations, if I'm working on other parts of the video late, you know what I mean. So stay safe, folks, and remember, especially now, be kind to one another, and if you have to go out, use your turn signals.